Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Draupadi Vastrabharanam. In a game of dice, Yudhishthira was losing and pledging one after the other, including all his brothers and his property, and even went to the extent of pledging Draupadi, much to the chagrin of his brothers and to the glee of the Kauravas. And this was happening in the assembly of elders, including gurus, Bhishma, and of course Dhritarashtra, who was always doting on Duryodhana. Now, Dushasana forcibly brought Draupadi to the assembly, and she started disrobing her as she pleaded to her Pandava spouses, but holding on to the attire with both the hands. She was becoming more and more helpless. At last, she folded her hands and called out to Krishna, help, Krishna, help. It was then that Sri Krishna saved the dignity of Draupadi by way of an unending length of attire on her body. So much so that Dushasana was totally exhausted, and Draupadi's chastity was preserved. Now, let us see. Sri Krishna came to Draupadi's rescue only when she cried out to him for help. And that was only after she had been vainly pleading with all elders in the assembly to seek justice. This shows God will answer the sincere prayers of those seeking His Sharanagati. Tvameva Sharanam Mama. Now, compare Krishna as a child. Keeping the clothes of maidens in Gokula as they were having bath naked in chill waters, and they had to, by way of surrender, cover their body parts with the hands and close her eyes. So that was Krishna's way of punishing where it is necessary and protecting where he was ready when sincerely prayed for. Now, having settled in Dwarka, we have many instances of Sri Krishna's ways, and we come to Rukmini Swayamvara. Rukmini, the daughter of the king of Kundinapura, Vidarbha, in prime of age, nurtured a desire to be the spouse of Sri Krishna, the adored of the Yadus. Her father, Bhishma, too had Sri Krishna in mind, but Rukmini's brother Rukmi wanted her to marry Shishupala, son of Dhamagosha, the ruler of Chedi. Sri Krishna carried off Rukmini in deference to her plea conveyed through a trusted Brahmana messenger from Kundinapura and married her, who was none other than a part manifestation of Sri, that is Lakshmi. Earlier, Balarama had married Revati as ordained by Lord Brahma, Revati being the daughter of Kagudmi and the granddaughter of Revata, as we have seen in the previous chapter. Rukmani's message was that she would worship on the eve of marriage at the temple of goddess Ambika and await Sri Krishna to carry her off without any guilt feeling. This resulted in deep enmity towards Krishna in the minds of Shishupala, Rukmi, that is Rukmani's brother, Salva, Jarasandha, and others. In the hot pursuit of Sri Krishna, the enraged Rukmi escaped death at his hands upon Rukmani's request, but had to endure the discomfiture of partly shaven off moustache and head. And Rukmi didn't step back to Kundinapura, but built a city outside it, as he had taken a vow never to return to Kundinapura without killing Krishna. In Dwaraka, there were celebrations to welcome Sri Krishna and his consort, who were none other than Lord Vishnu and Sri Lakshmi, with participation by nearby kingdoms, not to speak of Pandavas. Celestial beings showered flowers and kettle drums were played. Deliverance of Shishupala and Dandavaktra. Later, at a Rajasuya sacrifice conducted by Yudhishthira, Sri Krishna was offered the seat of honor with the concurrence of Bhishma, a galaxy of learned and respected preceptors that included Parashara, Vyasa, Bharadwaja, Gautama, Vasishtha, Chavana, Kanva, Maitreya, Vishwamitra, Garga, Vaishambhayana, Atharva, Kashyapa, Parashurama, Shukracharya and others, as well as kings from various kingdoms. Shishupala, the son of the king of Chedi, Damagosha, and his wife Sudasrava, though related to Sri Krishna, was inimical towards him. He started a talk of calumny, defamation, and vilification of Sri Krishna to such an extent that his head was severed by Sri Krishna's Sudarshana Chakra. This being the third and last cursed Janma of Jaya and the gatekeeper at Sri Vaikuntha, over, he attained to his original place as the Lord's attendant, even as a column of light emerged from him and entered Sri Krishna. Dandavaktra, king of Karusha, he held deep grudge and enmity towards Sri Krishna after the killing of Shishupala, Paundraka and Salva. In a daring attack on Sri Krishna, he used his powerful mace, but ended up his chest being smashed by Sri Krishna's mace Kaumodagi. As happened with Shishupala, a subtle ray of light emerged from the dead body of Dandavaktra and entered Sri Krishna. That was the Shishupala's, the third and last birth for the other gatekeeper in Vaikuntha, that is Vijaya. Dandavaktra in previous birth was Hiranyaksha. Both Shishupala and Dandavaktra were then free from the effect of the curse of Sadaka brothers and got back their place in Vaikuntha. Salva, killed by Sri Krishna, angered at the carrying away of Rukmani and then killing of his close friend Shishupala. Apart from the disfigurement of Rukmi by Sri Krishna, their close friend Salva had taken a vow to finish off Sri Krishna, and through severe austerities procured Lord Shiva's boon to possess a mystic aerial vehicle. Thus it was that he got the Saubha, the aerial car, crafted for him by Maya the conjurer. Salva took advantage of Sri Krishna's absence as Sri Krishna was away at Indraprastha, and so launched a war against the Yadavas. Pradyumna, the valiant son of Sri Krishna, confronted him and made him disappear temporarily. But Salva's minister Dyuman, another conjurer, challenged Pradyumna, who cut off his head. Meanwhile, Sri Krishna returned and lost no time in dealing with the wicked Salva. Salva used Maya's conjuring skills to make it appear as though he had brought Sri Krishna's father Vasudeva captive and even severed the latter's head as though. Sri Krishna, who saw through the trickery, sent forth arrows that blew up Salva's magical aerial car and cut off his powerful mace. And finally, Salva's head rolled on the ground as it was severed by Sri Krishna's disc Sudarshana Chakra. We will come to Pradyumna a little later. Jarasandha and Kalayavana. Jarasandha was the king of Magadha and father-in-law of Kamsa. Kamsa's widows, Asit, Asti and Prapti, approached their father Jarasandha. He laid siege on Mathura with 23 Akshauginis, forces, comprising hundreds of thousands of soldiers, elephants, chariots and horses. Each Akshaugini consisted of 1,09,000 infantry, 65,610 horses, 21,780 elephants, and an equal number of chariots. Gods sent down divine horse-drawn chariots and weapons that included Srihari's Sharanga bow and arrows, and Balarama's plough and pestle. It did not take time for both to annihilate Jarasandha's forces, leaving him alone in the battlefield without horses and chariot. Sri Krishna allowed the disgraced Jarasandha to go back, if only knowing that he would come again and again with his Akshaugini forces, who all could then be wiped out to lessen the burden on earth, that being the purpose of his very avatar. Thus Jarasandha made 17 abortive attempts at attack on Yadavas. On the 18th attempt, Sri Krishna and Balarama alone appeared before him in an aerial position and started moving towards the lofty Pravarshana mountain. Pravarshana meaning where incessant rain throughout the year. Jarasandha followed them eager to finish them off, but they were out of sight in the hills. Jarasandha had the hill set on fire, and thinking that they both were consumed by the forest fire, he retreated with happiness to Magadha, considering himself victorious. Jarasandha vanquished and kept in prison 20,800 kings of as many territories of yore. Of course, both Sri Krishna and Balarama had moved on aerially to Dwaraka. Kalayavana, a Mlecha, was vested with the boon of freedom from death, from astras or weapons or by fight. He was keen to meet an equal in prowess and was directed by Devarshi Narada to meet Sri Krishna in the Yadava territory of Mathura. He arrayed his huge army in alliance with Jarasandha on the other side of Mathura. Meanwhile, all of Mathura had been moved to Dwaraka with the help of Maya, as earlier mentioned. Sri Krishna appeared before Kalayavana alone without arms. Sri Krishna lured him far away for single combat. Sri Krishna entered a cave in the faraway mountain where Muchukunda was in deep slumber. Muchukunda, a scion of Ikshagu, had once fought on Indra's side to defeat demons and got the boon that anyone disturbing his much deserved sleep during rest would instantly be consumed by the fire emanating from his eyes. Kalayavana mistook the sleeping Muchukunda for Sri Krishna and kicked and woke up the sleeping Muchukunda. When the latter was disturbed and indignantly opened his eyes, the fire emitted from his eyes instantly consumed Kalayavana. Muchukunda, son of Mandhata in the Ikshvaku line, was blessed by the Lord who appeared as Shankh Chakra Gadadhari, and he went for tapas in Badrikashrama on the Gandhamadana mountain on the ideas of Sri Krishna. Muchukunda sought to be enlightened on who he was. That caused a brilliance in the dark environments of the long cave. To which Sri Krishna replied that his manifestations could never be counted, as he has been, is, and will be present in everything. And Sri Krishna added that he had taken this birth as the son of Vasudeva in the race of Yadu in order to exterminate the demons who were proving a burden to the earth. Muchukunda of the Ikshvaku clan had lived from Treta Yuga till almost the end of the Dwapara Yuga. Jarasandha end was at the hands of Bhima in a hand-to-hand combat atop the Girivraja. As a prelude to a Rajasuya Yajna, King Yudhishthira had sent his brothers in the four directions to win the kings. Bhima and Arjuna had gone to the east, where they could not vanquish Jarasandha. Bhima and Arjuna had gone to the east, where they could not vanquish Jarasandha, who had special boons, so could not be defeated or killed easily. As advised by Uddhava, Sri Krishna, Bhima and Arjuna went disguised as Brahmanas to meet Jarasandha, who showed all due respect to the Brahmanas. Eventually, they announced their identity, invited Jarasandha for a single combat, away from armies and without weapons, and thus lured him far away to the hills. Jarasandha gave a mace to Bhima, and the two did their best to thwart the other. Then it was a hand-to-hand duel that continued for 27 days. Each night, though, both were like friends. Dinani niragam statra sugurdun nishi tishtadoho. That was the rules of war in those times. At last, hindered at by Sri Krishna, Bhima had to split Jarasandha's body vertically into two and put it in opposite directions. In fact, Jarasandha got his name through joining of two half bodies from head to foot by Jara, who was a demoness and had special skills. He was born in two separate halves as a result of King Brihadwaja's two wives eating a mango cut into two halves. The mango had been given by sage Gautama's son, who was meditating under a mango tree, where the king had gone seeking the sage's blessings for progeny. Sri Krishna Krishna, Sri Krishna Krishna, Sri Krishna Krishna. Sarvatra Govindanaam Sankirtanam Govinda, Govinda.